Good evening, afternoon, or morning, depending on where you're at in the world. I am back. Welcome, everyone. I've been out and about traveling. As many of you guys already know, I was at the Conscious Life Expo this past weekend. Feeling a lot better, by the way. Thank you. My food poisoning only affected me for a few days, but right around last Wednesday, I woke up feeling a lot better. So I haven't gone live in about a week, and that's just because I've been traveling. First of all, I want to welcome each and every single one of you. Thank you so much for being here once again. Um, I also want to extend gratitude to my moderators for being here and keeping the vibe, the high vibe in the chat. And for those that don't know me, for all my new subscribers, I am the author of those two amazing books right behind me: The Secret Government, Invisible Architects, and of course, Our Cosmic Origin, both which restore vital information in preparation for the ascension of planet Earth. Yes, can you guys see my new Archangel Michael and Metatron? I picked those up at the Conscious Life Expo. I think they go great with my backing, whatever you want to call it. Now, regarding the folium, guys, all three bottles are in stock. Oh, I don't have any on me, but it's for a limited time offer. So for those of you that like to get rid of the graphene, all that stuff, the CD19, whatever you want to call it, get rid of the parasites, the metals, the nanobots, radiation. Make sure you guys get your supply because there's a high demand for that stuff. So it's about who gets it first. And from what I hear, Bobry does have all three in stock. So make sure you guys get your folium ASAP. Now, I'm also excited about beginning a new set of courses this coming weekend. I can't wait to meet some of the new people. This is where I get to know you on a personal level. And I'm excited about that. Now, for those that missed taking my courses this coming weekend, I do have a new set of courses that are going to start in about 3 weeks. So if you guys are interested in taking a course with me, 3-level ascension courses, and then of course my groundbreaking work, Our Cosmic Origin, which breaks down the entire cosmic infrastructure. Uh, I always call it next level disclosure. Go to my website, ourcosmicorigin.com, and secure your spot. Any other announcements? Let's see. Um, Other than that, I think we could actually get right into it. So I don't know if you guys are in tune with what's happening right now, but apparently, as of a few days ago, Trump is already taking his first step forward into the disclosure. Now, today I want to break down some of the Galactic Alliance briefings regarding the steps, the preliminary steps that are being initiated from behind the scenes in order to prepare the public for mass disclosure, which is what the Bible calls the book of Revelation. I want to talk about certain protocols, including revealing for the first time the first interstellar city that will be established sometime between 2026 and 2027. And I will be revealing the name of that city. It's going to be an open culture between humans and non terrestrials. And I also want to talk about the private meeting between Peter Hegseth and, of course, Elon Musk, how even they are meeting with Galactic Alliance members to discuss bringing our world into a Star Trek civilization. And so this is where the positive Elon 2.0 plays a huge role in that. So before I get into the Galactic Alliance briefings, I do want to mention something about how our planet for thousands of years has not only been ruled by humans that suffer from a high concentration of draconian reptilian DNA, but it turns out that a lot of those rulers were actually host for Draco reptilians themselves. Okay, I was able to access some information, and again, this is all part of the disclosure. As I was diving into the interstellar records, and according to recovered cosmic archives, certain negative extraterrestrial functions mastered biological interface with human counterparts. In other words, they were using humans as hosts, like Queen Elizabeth II and her mom and her dad and her those who came before her filthy bloodline. Anyways, they have been mastering biological interface using a type of technology for thousands of years to use these humans as their host. Okay, so apparently these extraterrestrials were ruling our world. Because a lot of people say, well, we're about to. People think that there's an invasion coming, but the truth of the matter is that we were already invaded. All right, and here is the facts. When you think of all the ancient epics of summer, when you study about the serpent symbolism in the Mesoamerican regions, in the dragon dynasties of the East, and even in the secretive rites of European mystery school teachings, there is this recurring whisper of shapeshifters, beings who could walk among humanity while being unseen. Okay, so we know that throughout human history, we hear of these rulers who did not seem entirely human. Okay. And so I want to share, before I go into the galactic briefing regarding the different phases of the disclosure and how Elon is going to be a part of it, let me first explain this. So, according to recovered cosmic archives, guys, these negative beings have been using certain human hosts in order to, of course, yield their diabolical agendas. And so rather than invading openly for the last, I would say, 6,000 to about 10,000 years, the Draco embedded themselves in every culture, okay, in every um, dynasty. And so they learned to apparently mimic human biology at the genetic level. And, a lot of this stuff has a lot to do with the secret alien human hybrid programs that have continuously been going on for thousands of years. Also, they've learned to interface consciousness through hybrid vessels, establish bloodline continuity within royal and elite structures, and influence civilizations through shadow governance. So all that stuff is coming to an end now. Okay. And so these beings that have been often described in myth as serpent or draconic intelligences did not conquer through war. All right. They conquered by invading us from within. Okay. They ruled through influence, and most importantly, through ritual interface programs. So this thing that is now coming out is just part of the revelation, the apocalypse, the great reveal, where in essence, it's something that's been going on with the little ones, the ritual sacrifice, the drinking of the blood, Andreno, you know what I mean? All of that stuff has been going on for thousands of years. It was practiced during the times of the Roman Empire. And even before then, where it originated with the cult of Canaan, right? Paying attribute to what? The god Baal, okay? Um, what they called Belial. So this has been going on for thousands of years. You think that this JE scandal is something new? No, this is just the revealing. Okay, so it's been going on for thousands of years, guys. So we do know that certain elite orders believed that by merging with human DNA with reptilian genetics, architecture would produce rulers capable of enhanced cognition, extended lifespan, psychic influence over populations, and emotional detachment required for power. Case in point, Nimrod of Babylon. That's why it's important to read The Secret Government. Where is it? It's right here. The Secret Government goes into great detail regarding how these human reptilian hybrids have always been hosts for these draconians and how they've been ruling our world through these hosts. Well, we do know that these rituals formed the hidden backbone of what later became known as, of course, what we call today the Cabal bloodlines. And so, in a way, it created dependence on them, right? Those who interface became tethered to the Draco command structures operating from behind the veil. So now there's this thing called the part of phase one of the disclosure is what the Galactics called the Draco Exodus. The Draco Exodus. Okay, so as phase one infrastructure stabilizes, continues to unfold, a parallel operation within this timeline has also been underway. So the quiet extraction of these negative non-human operatives that have been embedded in leadership positions. Yes, JE, the big gates, they're all host. In a way, they're all using their bodies. These aliens have been using their bodies to, of course, execute their diabolical operations. So, this quiet extraction of negative non human operatives embedded in leadership positions is well underway right now as I speak. Um, sure, one second. Let's see. Wolf Mother just messaged me. Oh, okay. So it turns out that for whatever reason, my moderators aren't capable of moderating today. I don't know why. I did not do anything on my end. So I'm gonna have to look into that in a little bit. So I guess we're just gonna have to deal with the trolls. It's all right. Everybody gets trolls, right? Non-human players. All right, let's continue here. So as the Earth continues to rise in frequencies, and this is why this is happening right now, because um, the consciousness of the planet is rising. Okay. And this is why we are scheduled to enter into a type 1 interplanetary civilization within a matter of years because the energetic frequencies continue to rise. Okay. Um, and they're coming in through, or they're continuing to rise through what the solar storms, right? The grid recalibration, which is what amplifying the collective awareness of the planet. And so the veil protocol is beginning to destabilize. The veil is what's been separating the real humans from actually seeing the alien humans in their real true form. Okay, that veil is now being lifted. So, in this unfolding, the disguise technology that relayed on a frequency bandwidth, it is now weakening. Okay, so pretty soon we're going to start seeing the non-human players for who they really are as the veil continues to drop. So, um, this means that concealment is becoming harder and harder. Okay. The lifting of the veil is happening right now. And as the veil continues to thin, humanity is going to begin noticing certain behavioral inconsistencies, emotional voids in positions of power, sudden resignations, and it's already happening. People are resigning, and disappearances. Not to mention public figures all of a sudden stepping down unexpectedly. Well, in this timeline, exposure does not mean dramatic morphing on live television either. It means incompatibility with rising planetary frequency. So that means that the mask will be falling. Okay. It's kind of like that movie, They Live. All of a sudden, you put on those glasses and you're going to see that, not everyone is human. All right. You're going to see people for what they really are. You're going to see the reptilians that have been living among us. So it means incompatibility with rising planetary frequency. The mask will fall off completely. So I would like to now talk about the positive infiltration as well. Just like the draconians were using human hosts, generally those that carried a high concentration of Draco DNA to use them as hosts throughout history. Well, in the same way, believe it or not, in terms of the opposite bloodline, we're talking about the bloodline of King David. Not all non human beings embedded on earth did so with hostile intent. According to Alliance archives, certain emissaries, which is what we called the angelic positive extraterrestrials from the Galactic Councils, also assumed human appearance. And many people believe that Solomon was one of them. All right. Jesus was another one. Okay. And all the prophets of the and Merlin and prophets of the Old Testament, they were not human. They were also host for these angelic positive extraterrestrials. Okay. So they did that also to counterbalance what the Draco were trying to do. So these benevolent angelic ETs that have been using human bodies as hosts, again, humans that they resonate with because they have the same type of frequency, mainly appeared throughout history as teachers, scientists. To give you guys an example, Galileo Galilei, Leonardo da Vinci. Well, these guys weren't just your typical humans, all right? Nikola Tesla. And there was a reason why they were super geniuses. They were extraterrestrials using human hosts. Okay. So they appeared as scientists and nowadays through the Alliance military advisors. It turns out that the 12 generals that are at the head of the White Hat team or the White Hat global operations units are, of course, extraterrestrial positive angelics assuming human form. They've also appeared as humanitarian leaders throughout history, and most importantly, cultural influencers, including, in this day and age. All right, some of them are not human. Some of them they just appear as human, but they're really just using the human form to do the bidding of the one infinite creator of God, of course. So, and of course, they did not form secret cults. Okay, the good guys never formed any secret cults. What they did is they actually seeded ideas that are now coming into fruition, right? As the mass awakening of humanity continues to accelerate. They also establish what is known as ethical frameworks uh, and tons of awakened philosophies. So these celestial, angelic intelligences that were, again, using human forms, their purpose was to stabilize, ensuring that humanity would not fall entirely under Draco domination. So, in this type of scenario, the Draco reptilian hierarchy, of course, sought technocratic domination, control through fear, scarcity, and hierarchy. Well, that's all coming to an end now because of the times that we're living in, and their time is up, and they know that. Okay, in fact, it is believed that within the last few days, the Illuminati bloodlines and those that are associated with the black nobility of the Illuminati have been completely neutralized. Okay, the Galactic Alliance has always sought sovereignty in terms of, again, infiltrating us by assuming a human host, awakening through cooperation and evolution, cooperative evolution rather. And of course, Earth is the crossroad, right? In this interdimensional warfare. So now, as we approach 2027, as we get ready to again to experience the trifurcation between now and 2028, the balance is beginning to shift, guys. Okay, and it's because humanity is choosing awareness. Okay, I've already mentioned that the assessment that was conducted by 3i Atlas and the Jupiter Command have issued that humanity is now ready to enter, of course, the interstellar society, the galactic community. So now it is important to also understand that in the process of ascending, as the veils continue to thin, um, everything is going to be based on discernment, guys, because we're going to start really seeing these humans for what they really are. And as mentioned before, not everyone is human. Okay. Um, so discernment is the key here in this timeline, guys, between now and 2028. And yes, today is the 25th of February, and we are still on a positive timeline trajectory. So within this timeline, the difference between human and non-human, or those that assume the appearance of human, will be made more visible. Okay, as the planetary frequency continues to rise, all of these non-humans will be exposed. People will see them for what they really look like, and they will be revealed by their vibration. Now, it appears that as the veil protocol dissolves, humanity will not awaken to monsters hiding in plain sight. Also, it will awaken to a deeper truth. So, and that is that power was never meant to be centralized, that consciousness was never meant to be suppressed. And most importantly, guys, that governance was never meant to be covertly manipulated. So, this will mark the end of secret societies as we know them. So, and the positive emissaries, also those that are part of the angelic uh, functions, um, as they continue to be hidden, right? Because a lot of them are working with the humans on Earth. Again, a lot of them are the Alliance. There are galactics assuming human form to work with the White Hats. they will no longer be in disguise. And it was brought to my attention that Commander Valiant Thor is still meeting with a lot of the members of the military alliance. And so it's not just Commander Thor, it's also other commanders like Commander Corridor and, of course, the Ashtar. And there are many reports that the real Trump within the last few months has been in frequent meetings with members of the galactic councils. Okay. And there's a reason why, and I'll explain that in a little bit. So, because humanity is now ready to step into a new role, it is believed that the disclosure accord is now fully established. Okay. Well, now, what is the disclosure accord? You guys might be thinking. Well, that's part of what they call phase one of planetary integration, as Earth becomes part of a greater interstellar and ultimately a galactic civilization. So, according to Alliance sources within this timeline, a coordinated framework has begun between Earth leadership and off world councils, as mentioned within the last few months. And Putin has been in these meetings as well as Xi Jinping. Okay, and this is why there will be no third world war. So, what insiders have referred to as the Disclosure Accord. So, the role of the Disclosure Accord is having a disclosure president. And I'm sure everyone here already knows, right? Based on what's been happening, Trump just said in his Truth Social the other day that he wants to release all the UFO files and everything that we need to know about aliens. Not to mention, I don't know if you guys heard about the Obama leak. Obama was asked in an interview, and that interview, the clip of that interview has been, again, circulating all over social media, where Obama, let's call him Obama, also admitted that the aliens are real and that they're not located in Area 51, but he did admit that the aliens are real. So all of this is happening for a reason, right? So within this timeline, President Donald Trump has been referred to by the alliance planners as the disclosure president. So the title also does not imply a sudden announcement or a chaotic revelation. It represents something more strategic, controlled transparency. And what that means is that according to internal briefings, meetings that were quietly held between senior Earth representatives representing the alliance and members of what is described as the Galactic Alliance have been, of course, meeting regarding Earth's membership into the galactic community as we are now entering a new thresholds. So these encounters between Earth's representatives and the interstellar councils are not also theatrical summits, but structured consultations about timing, stability, and technological ethics. So phase one is what they call the infrastructure before revelation. And this is supposed to take place with the announcements sometime this year. Okay. Disclosure planners determined that humanity must first modernize its foundational systems before open contact could occur. Phase one focuses on infrastructure upgrades, not only physical systems, but informational and energetic grids as well. So the first one is what they call the energy grid stabilization. And what that means is that for quite some time now, existing fossil based systems are gradually being replaced with what? Clean, high efficiency technologies derived from previously classified research. Well, these systems mimic zero point principles, but are going to be introduced under civilian research banners to avoid the shock. The second thing is what they call the digital and communications shielding. So, global communication networks are also being reinforced to withstand electromagnetic disruptions and potential atmospheric phenomena associated with contact events. There's also the transportation modernization, which is a high-speed magnetic transit systems and anti-gravitic or anti-gravity adjusted propulsion research that are also going to be fueled through aerospace innovation programs that are going to be in transparent, no longer secret. So, as mentioned before, what the Galactics are trying to do is they're trying to bridge the gap between the breakaway groups and the surface world so that the surface world could step into a golden age within a matter of years by, of course, using these advanced technologies of light. The fourth thing is what they call the psychological acclimation of the human race to the new technologies. And this is probably perhaps the most important element, cultural conditioning, as they call it. And that's the releasing of documentaries, films, declassified reports, and even congressional hearings about unidentified aerial phenomena. And these are calibration tools that are going to be used to roll out, of course, what the government has been using within the private sector for over 80 years. And so there are coordinated interactions taking place right now as I speak with off-world councils and the Earth White Hat Alliance. And so, according to the archives, Earth's leadership has not acted alone either. And what that means is that a council composed of representatives from the inner civilization, including the oceanic intelligence, which I had an opportunity to reveal for the first time on my channel last week, who these four oceanic civilizations were, and even several star-faring cultures are believed to be participating in the pacing strategy of bringing the Earth or bridging the Earth with the galactic community. Communications between these councils and the Earth leaderships operate under three primary principles. And so the first one is non interference until invited. Okay. So we as a collective have to invite the ETs. Okay. They can't do it without the collective approval of meeting with them for the first time. And in a little bit, I will reveal the first interplanetary or interstellar city that will be established by 2027. Okay. So the second thing is technological exchange only after planetary consent. The third thing is spiritual maturity that will precede material integration. So these councils reportedly insisted that Earth must demonstrate cooperative governance and grid stability before even open interaction with other civilizations. And so phase one is less about revealing visitors and more about preparing the planet for open contact. Now, by summer 2027, according to the Galactic Archives, if the infrastructure timeline holds, which I believe it will hold, the planet is expected to enter what planners call contact readiness threshold. At this stage, humanity will be introduced, not, of course, first to the star nations, but to the closer relatives. And I believe I talked about this before. Civilizations that have been residing within the vast subterranean ecosystems, right? We call it the inner Earth societies, as well as the oceanic civilizations that have been operating in bioluminescent underwater habitats, and not to mention advanced terrestrial lineages that withdrew from surface society during previous cataclysms. And so the reasoning is psychological proximity. Humanity may accept hidden neighbors first. We're talking about the Earth Terrans and those that are still unawakened, but soon they're going to have the opportunity when the great reveal takes place, beginning this year, to either accept and step out of their programming or continue being programmed. Okay, so they're going to have the option of accepting the truth or not. But this reasoning is psychological proximity for the masses, for those that are still asleep. Okay, humanity may accept hidden neighbors more readily than distant star neighbors or star nations. And that is just an honest fact. Okay, now the final step of phase one. Once terrestrial from the inner Earth, right, the advanced civilizations, and oceanic disclosure stabilizes the global reaction, the second layer then will unfold. and that is the acknowledgement of interstellar observers. We're going to be introduced to certain galactic councils, beginning with the Association of Worlds, also known as the United Federation of Planets, pertaining to our local star cluster. Again, if you're unfamiliar with these terminologies, please take my course, Our Cosmic Origin. I break down the entire intergalactic councils. So the galactic councils will be described in this phase in briefings as multi-system federations that will not arrive in spectacle. Their introduction, rather, will be gradual, diplomatic, and symbolic. So there's going to be shared medical advancements within this phase, as well as energy breakthroughs and cultural exchanges. So many of you guys are asking, why 2027? And I do believe that other ET contacts like Daryl Anka and others have confirmed that 2027 is looking like that's around the time frame where we are going to establish first contact. But I was able to access these archives from the Galactic Alliance. And so the Alliance analyst concluded that global systems require roughly about 24 to 30 months of coordinated upgrades before contact transparency can occur without societal collapse. So by the summer of 2027, three milestones are being projected. And that is a stable energy grid redundancy as we shift from fossil fuels, plant combustion to what? Planetary power, right? Free energy. Also, financial systems are going to be fully restructured, right? The EBS, the new currency, the GCR, the quantum financial system capable of handling paradigm shifts that are decentralized and more transparent. Not to mention a population psychologically acclimated to non-human intelligence through media normalization, and official acknowledgments will also take place by 2027. So by 2027, the Alliance, through Project Odin, will already have taken control over the Mockingbird media. So only then, planners believe that that humanity will be ready to meet our brothers and sisters from the stars. So this timeline, in this timeline, disclosure is not a dramatic unveiling, but a synchronized evolution also. When what that means is that there will be new Earth leadership, and we're talking about the replacement of the cabal with eligible white hat representatives. We're also talking about establishing off-world councils with these new representatives of the 22 super structures that I've revealed, the 22 federated regions. Also, the infrastructure aligning capability as well. And then also humanity will be aligning through consciousness after the great reveal. And so in this regard, the result isn't shock, but it is transition. So now, according to the disclosure accords, phase one begins in 2026. So we just entered 2026. So phase one begins sometime this year. So that way, by the summer or even by the fall of 2027, the surface world will no longer be isolated in its awareness. It will welcome into a broader family, or it will be welcomed into a broader family, an interoceanic and stellar family that is prepared not through fear, but through readiness. Now, as this happens, the Galactics, in collaboration with the Earth Alliance White Hats, are also working together to make sure that whatever is left behind of these human Draco interfaces, right? Humans that are being that are hosts to the Dracos. They call it the Draco Exodus. And a lot of this has to do with the solar flash, the impending solar flash that is incoming. So this phase is not designed as a war, okay? It is designed as a threshold. And as the Veil Protocol decentralizes or destabilizes, rather, um, and embedded, the best way to describe it is as the second or the first solar flash takes place, what we're going to be seeing is that all of those humans, including Jeffrey Epstein, right, Bill Gates, that are being host to negative Anunnakis or negative alien functions are going to lose their energetic compatibility with the Earth's rising frequencies. So, what that means is the Alliance initiated what insiders within the operation call the Draco Human Exodus Protocol. And so that is the removal through resonance of all the evil souls and those body hosts that are being used by the draconian reptilians. That is good news. Okay. So it is important to understand that the Alliance astrophysicists working in coordination with off-world councils, and yes, the Alliance have their own astrophysicists who are 800 to 900 years ahead of the general public and ahead of the surface scientific community and technology, right? Space Force is going to bleed through all of the advanced interstellar technology that has been used by Solar Warden. I've already mentioned that. So the astrophysicists that are working for the Alliance, working in coordination with off-world councils, identified a cyclical solar amplification window approaching sometime between mid 2027. They call it the 2027 corridor. And so this is not described as a destructive flare either. Okay, they're talking about a type of solar flare that's going to make the Carrington event look like candy, maybe about 100 times stronger. Okay, it is described as a frequency cascade. And as mentioned before, the Galactic Alliance, due to that massive hole that is emitting massive solar flares, they are buffering that, all right, because we have to be ready as a collective to integrate all of that light. And so I guess now they have a new projection for the solar flash, and that's what they call the 2027 timeframe. So, according to this report, a solar pulse interacting with the Earth's magnetosphere by 2027 will increase the background electromagnetic coherence. It will also destabilize artificial cloaking technologies, so the veil will be fully lifted. We're going to be seeing who's human and who's not. All right. It will also amplify human intuitive perception. All of a sudden, our psychic abilities are going to be magnified. It's like everyone's going to be on DMT, right? And then it's also going to collapse incompatible biointerface systems. And this explains why Israel is last, because that is the main stronghold in which the negative Anunnaki have been using or have been controlling the world for the last few thousand years. So rather than open confrontation, the exodus of the evil souls is unfolding in different stages as I speak, according to the Galactic Briefing. The first one is a strategic resignation from high office, a sudden relocation of corporate leadership, financial restructurings that dissolved shadow networks. We're talking about the ending of the old financial empire. An advanced craft detected leaving upper atmosphere corridors. Now, bear in mind that it has also been revealed that they've only released 3% of the Epstein files. The other 97% is yet to come out, and that is scheduled to come out also this year. So as they release more and more Epstein files, again, everything is going to come to light. Everything's going to come to light. So within this time frame, the planetary field will simply no longer support parasitic government structures. Okay, the new energies will not allow that to happen anymore. I got to cover my tea because of these flies. Sometimes these little moths just drop in my teas and I can't drink it anymore. All right, so by summer 2027, it is phase one infrastructure upgrades reach operational readiness. And what that means is that the stabilized energy grids are going to be fully implemented. We're talking about the quantum financial grid with the quantum freedom grid, replacing the old Babylonian grid. of the cabal. We're also talking about a reinforced communication network between us and the other planets around within our neck of the woods and around our solar system. We're also talking about a civilian aerospace advancements and public acclamation through ET disclosure. So this creates what the Alliance planners call planetary coherence. So what that means is that when systems are stable, the new systems, fear loses leverage. So, as mentioned, some of the first societies or civilizations that we will be introduced to is the inner Earth, and of course, the oceanic intelligence, who have been the guardians of the deep biospheric knowledge. And they're also going to enter into a diplomatic dialogue in 2027. And I will be revealing the first interstellar city and where it's going to be at for the first time in a little bit. These beings, we're talking about the oceanic intelligences, have also been described as ancient stewards of planetary memory that are going to bring ecological technologies and water purification systems previously withheld from surface civilization. And their emergence is going to signal the closing of the isolation age. As you know, the Earth has been isolated from the rest of the galaxy, or as they call it, quarantine, for about 10,000 years. So, only after the terrestrial and oceanic contact stabilizes does the final phase activate. Now, the final phase is what we called the galactic acknowledgement. Okay. Um, and what that means is that there's going to be joint scientific symposiums between Earth Alliance scientists through Space Force and, of course, Pleiadians, Agarthians, as well as Altarians, which is one of the oceanic civilizations. There's also going to be shared energy patents, thousands of patents, right, regarding free energy, rife technology, healing modalities, and more, culture exchange initiatives, and public addresses explaining the interstellar governing ethics to our world. So the Galactic Alliance message is simple at this time, and it will be simple then as well, and that is that Earth was never alone. That Earth has been learning sovereignty. So the Draco Exodus, the Draco human exodus, the evil souls, or those that are still host of the Draco energy, the Draco consciousness, is not also the end of the story. It is the clearing of the interference, as they call it. So what follows is not alien rule. It is a human maturity, okay? So in this timeline, the solar threshold does not transform humanity into something else. And what that means is that in this timeline, the solar threshold will reveal what humanity has always been, a multidimensional species, as well as a bridge species between us, or a bridge species that is going to bridge the diversity that exists throughout the universe. All these different races, right? We are the amalgamation. We have all their genes. So that's why we're considered the bridge species of all the different extraterrestrial races out there, capable of integrating biology and energy bodies. So the final image is this, that by late summer 2027, early fall, in this positive timeline, Earth will stand with the galactic civilizations. By then, the energy grids will already be harmonized. All the hidden functions will be displaced or neutralized. The inner civilizations reconnected with the surface world. Oceanic stewards will be acknowledged, and the galactic councils will be introduced to the Earthlings. So it is important to also understand that the Exodus was never about expelling enemies. It was about raising the frequency so high that domination could no longer be anchored here. And at the solar threshold, the first wavers, right, the first solar flash, humanity will step forward not as subjects of disclosure, but as participants in a larger cosmic community. I guess at that point, that would be after the third solar flash. Then the rest of humanity, those that are generally good, will already be stepping into this new reality. So it is believed that by late summer 2027, early spring 2028, which corresponds to the ending of what I've been calling this current reality construct, right? The matrix, Earth had crossed the solar threshold. Now, you have to understand that to the galactics, they don't see time like a rigid sequence. So as I'm reporting this, it's already happened in their mind, all right? Because everything's happening, the future and the past are all happening together with the present moment. So they believe that by late 2027, early 2028, Earth will already have crossed the solar threshold, which means that the infrastructure upgrades were stable. Again, they're speaking as if it's already occurred, right? They don't have future past coordinates like we do. The Draco Exodus had completed its silent withdrawal, and the inner Earth and oceanic acknowledgments had already unfolded without chaos. So now came the moment that no one could have predicted decades earlier, and that is that the first galactic summit will take place in Sedona, Arizona. Why Sedona? Why Sedona? Well, it is believed that Sedona was not chosen for politics, but for its resonance. We know that for generations, the red rocks formations of Sedona have been associated with energetic vortex fields, geomagnetic anomalies, and heightened states of consciousness. So, Alliance scientists, as well as galactic envoys, identified the region as a natural harmonic amplifier, an ideal location for multi species diplomatic convergence. The summit, the Sedona Summit site, was constructed just beyond the visible tourist corridors, integrated seamlessly into the red sandstone landscape. Again, this is happening in real time. They don't see it as a future. In their eyes, it's already happening, guys. The architecture was circular, crystalline, and partially subterranean, ensuring environmental harmony. Now, for those that didn't know, the reason why I moved out here was to be a part of that first contact um, summit, whatever you want to call it. It turns out that the biggest intergalactic hub for the Galactic Alliance, it is situated underneath the red rocks, as well as a crystalline city right above us. So they have a crystalline city right above us and a crystalline city underneath us. So Sedona is going to be the first one. Okay, it's going to be the first one to host an interaction between humans and advanced interstellar or interdimensional civilizations. So the summit site. Okay, so the arrival sequence. The first delegates to arrive were representatives of the inner Earth civilization, and they're going to be coming in through the Sedona portals. And these inner Earth civilizations, genetically human, yet psychologically adapted to subterranean ecosystems, will make their first appearance at the Sedona summit. Their presence will be feeling familiar, almost ancestral when they do come through. Next came the oceanic stewards. Again, they're speaking as if it's already passed because they don't see time like we do. So next came the oceanic stewards, emerging through coordinated surface access points along the Pacific corridor. And then, of course, Sedona is connected to all the inner Earth civilizations, including the oceanic ones, okay? Transported via pressure stabilized atmospheric craft designed for transitional environments. Finally, above Sedona's crimson sky, the galactic delegation appeared as three luminous vessels descending in silent arcs. Again, they don't have past, present, and future. So this is a report as if it's already happened, okay? This is describing Sedona in late 2027. The ships did not cast shadows of domination. They reflected sunlight like polished crystals. So, Earth's representatives was intentionally diverse. Scientists and engineers involved in Phase 1 infrastructure will be attending the Sedona Summit. Indigenous elders, and we're talking about the Hopis, and those indigenous elders that were once here on this sacred land. Sedona is a sacred land, will also be present. And these are elders whose traditions were preserved within cosmic memory, as well as youth ambassadors, youth ambassadors, symbolizing the next planetary generation. Culture and ethical scholars will also be part of the Sedona Summit, and the transitional leadership who initiated the disclosure accord will also be here. And it did come to my attention that aside from Cheyenne Mountain, one of the biggest Whitehead Military Alliance slash Galactic Alliance underground facility is also located in Sedona. Okay. So the summit was not framed as a president meeting aliens either. It was humanity meeting its extended family. And again, I am reporting it as if it's already happened. Okay. Because they don't have they don't think in terms of linear time. So the opening address when the Sedona Summit takes place will be the Galactic Emissary will speak first. We recognize Earth as sovereign. We recognize humanity as evolving. We come not to direct your future, but to collaborate with it. The inner Earth representatives will affirm shared lineages to some of the surface dwellers. The oceanic intelligence will speak of guardianship of planetary waters. And the Earth's delegation responded with a declaration of cooperative intent beyond fear based governance. So, for the first time in recorded history, humanity stood in open dialogue with non human intelligences without secrecy. Okay, so this is also known as the Sedona Accords. Three foundational agreements will be established. Known in this timeline arc as the Sedona Accords. The first agreement of the Sedona Accords is technological transparency. And that means that energy, medical, and environmental technologies would be shared gradually, synchronized with human ethical readiness. The second one is cultural sovereignty. No species would impose belief systems or governance structures upon the earth anymore. Okay. The third is the interstellar exchange pathways. Earth will begin participating in supervised off-world exploration programs as an equal partner. And then comes the broadcast. Unlike past covert meetings described in legend, the Sedona Summit was transmitted worldwide. Again, we're speaking in present terms. 2020, late 2027, according to the archive, this took place. Cities watched in stillness. The fear narrative that once surrounded extraterrestrial contact dissolved under the simple image of beings speaking peacefully beneath Arizona's red sky. So, this is what they call a symbolic moment. Okay, a symbolic moment. A harmonic resonance field created jointly by galactic, inner Earth, oceanic, and even human technologies activated briefly above Sedona. The sky shimmered with geometric light patterns visible across much of the Southwest. A signal was given, and that is that the Earth had entered cooperative status. So a new chapter will unfold. Following the summit, the Sedona Summit, clean energy distribution will accelerate globally from the Sedona Summit. Ocean regeneration programs received advanced harmonic support. Education systems introduced interstellar history modules. Joint research stations were established in neutral global zones. And again, They're speaking in terms as if it's already happened. They don't have past, present, and future like we do. It's all happening now. The Sedona Summit became known as a tourist vortex town. Um, no, the Sedona Summit became not known as a tourist vortex town because right now it's known as a tourist vortex town, but as the birthplace of interstellar diplomacy. And next time I go live, I will be revealing the other cities that are going to be also chosen as interstellar hubs and meeting points between humans and star nations. So the meaning of it all is this, that the first galactic summit will not be about spectacle either. It'll be about how humanity is now a participating sovereign being, or how humanity is now a sovereign participant within a greater community. Okay, so by 2029, 2030, the word disclosure will be fading from global vocabulary. So according to this archive, by 2029, 2030, the Sedona Accords will have already stabilized the planetary confidence. The infrastructure upgrades from phase one had already been fully operational. Earth is now using free energy technology. We now have access to anti-gravity hover cars, spacecraft, bullet trains that travel extremely fast from continent to continent. Pretty much all the technology that the breakaway groups were using in secret will be available to us by no later than 2029, according to this briefing. Energy scarcity had already been diminished. Ocean restoration was accelerated. We used all kinds of technologies to clean up all our ocean and our ecosystem. Educational systems had integrated with cosmic history into their curriculum. And guess who's going to be at the head of this new world educational system, integrating cosmic history into the curriculum? Yes, you guys are looking at him. So I will be a facilitator within the Sedona Summit. Humanity will have already crossed the threshold by 2029, 2030, participating with a greater interstellar accord. So in this timeline, interstellar civilizations do not grant membership lightly either. A civilization must demonstrate internal conflict reduction below defined thresholds, stable planetary energy distribution, ethical oversight of advanced technologies, and respect for biospheric preservation. Thank you so much for the water. I appreciate that. All right, let's continue here. So by the late 2029, Earth was formally reviewed by the Interstellar Council, and the vote was unanimous. Earth was recognized as a developing cooperative world, a status that granted cultural exchange privileges, supervised exploration access, and representation in multi-species forums. Humanity was welcome by the late 2029. The first off-world exchange cohort. The year 2030 marked the departure of the Earth's first civilian interstellar exchange cohort. No soldiers, no secret agents, only scientists, linguists, cultural historians, engineers, and youth ambassadors. Their destination was not a distant war zone, but an interstellar learning nexus, a neutral academy orbiting a trinary star system. Why are we going to be orbiting a trinary star system? Well, because not only are we going to be aligning with Alcyon, our parent central sun, but also our granddaddy sun, Sirius B, the big dog star, the big blue star. Okay. There is ample evidence that not only is our solar system part of a binary star system, but originally the Earth did revolve around the trinary system of Sirius A, B, and C. So as the Earth ascends, we are going to be restored back to the trinary star system. So what that means is that we're going to have three suns. Unbelievable, amazing, right? Where developing civilization study diplomacy, ethics, and non-linear physics. So we're going to be teaching interdimensional physics, which means that we're probably going to be advancing from a type 1 to a type 2 civilization within a matter of a decade, if all goes well. Okay. So for the first time, guys, humans were students. We're speaking in terms as if it's already happened. Again, to the galactics, there is no linear time. So by 2030, humans were students among many species and teachers too, because Earth carries something very rare: emotional depth forged through adversity. So at this point, we will already have undergone what is known as full interstellar cultural integration. And what that means is that becoming part of an interstellar culture did not erase humanity's identity, but it expanded it. Think about it. A lot of people ask me, what do the ETs think about the music or the food that we eat here on the earth? Well, I was able to access a very important piece of information regarding that. Music from the earth began circulating through the galactic archives for the last century. Jazz and provisions studied for emotional complexity by many extraterrestrial races. Indigenous chants analyzed for harmonic resonance. Classical symphonies translated into multi-species tonal frameworks. And the earth cuisine, the type of food that we've made, was adapted to multi-biological compatibility. So apparently, all of the other species love our music and they love our diversity and cuisines. And then art also became one of humanity's strongest diplomatic bridges. Art. Okay. Other civilizations possessed advanced mathematics beyond Earth's understanding, but only few matched humanity's raw creative expression. So by 2030, Earth's energy systems were largely self-sustaining. Atmospheric stabilizers, co-developed with galactic engineers, reduced extreme climate volatility, oceanic designations grid reversed decades of ecological damage. And so, our planet's going to be restored, fully clean. By 2030, Earth was required to understand and maintain every system introduced. Interstellar culture was cooperative, not paternal, not paternal. And so the most profound transformation was not technological, it was actually internal. Human identity expanded beyond nationality. Children born after the year 2027 grew up knowing Earth was a member of a vast cosmic network, that Earth was one member of a vast cosmic network, right? The idea of planetary war became increasingly obsolete, not because conflict was impossible, but because it was culturally irrational in a multi-species community. So when you know you are observed and respected by civilizations that are millions of years older than us, petty division loses appeal. So within the interstellar forums, Earth became known for three traits: adaptive resilience, emotional intelligence, rapid innovation under pressure. And yes, we do have the best engineers within the private sector. Humanity's chaotic history became a case study in accelerated evolution to other civilizations. Where older civilizations evolved slowly under stable conditions, Earth had matured under turbulence for the last few thousand years. And that apparently forged strength. So in 2030, Sedona was once again hosted as a historic event, the interstellar cultural convergence of planet Earth. This time, open to the public, delegations from the inner Earth, oceanic civilizations, and even select galactic species participated in shared music, art, and knowledge demonstrations. Children watched beings of different physiologies exchange instruments and light based art. It was a celebration. We're speaking about Earth in 2030, Sedona Summit. The broader perspective, by the end of 2030, Earth was not a primitive outpost, nor was it a dominant power. It was something rarer, a young civilization with a memory of darkness that chose cooperation. The interstellar community did not view Earth as perfected, they viewed it as promising. In this timeline, humanity's once confined to one planet has officially entered the greater interstellar culture. So, yeah, this ends the Galactic report. However, there is also a Space Force Alliance report that actually dovetails perfectly with today's subject. I was going to save this for Y Hat Monday, but that's almost 5 days from now. So let's talk about the Space Force Alliance report, which completely confirms and validates what I just said. So this is coming from clearance level 7, subject matter civilization transition framework. And this is regarding the secret meeting that took place between Elon Musk and the Secretary of the Department of War, Pete Hegseth, sorry. In a high-level strategic dialogue between visionary aerospace industrialist Elon Musk engaged in forward projection discussion with senior defense leadership, including Pete Hegseth and others, operating in a wartime strategic advisory capacity within this scenario construct. The primary objective was assessment of transition pathways toward a post scarcity interplanetary civilization model. So, what was discussed was this. Peter Hegseth and those in attendance with Elon Musk talked about entering a type of Star Trek civilization. Okay. And the key attributes of that modeled this idea was a unified planetary type of, you could say, decentralized governance. And this is where the 22 federations are going to come into fruition, as well as the elimination of resource scarcity by the adoption of free energy. Okay, I believe that secretly Elon Musk has been briefed by the Galactic Alliance, and he only plays dumb when he tells Joe Rogan that he knows nothing about aliens. I think he's under some sort of what is it called? Oath. Advanced propulsion capability, peace-oriented exploratory doctrine. Okay, that was all subjects that were discussed in this private meeting, and most importantly, cooperative interspecies diplomacy. So the United States Space Force is also has been acknowledged by the meeting as the, you could say, as the interplanetary vehicle that is going to allow our world to become a spacefaring society. Now, there is no coincidence why the Space Force emblem is the same symbol or insignia used by Star Trek, the Star Trek Enterprise. Gene, what's his name? Gene what? Gene what? No, Gustonbury, the guy who wrote Star Trek. Roddenberry, yes, I believe Gene Roddenberry was working with the Galactic Federation, now the Galactic Alliance, because the same insignia used by Space Force is the same insignia used by the Star Trek Enterprise. Space Force is going to take us into the space age, okay? Official record confirmed that Space Force Delta lineage originated from legendary, what we call Solar Warden Space Command, which is really Star Trek, okay? The archetype of the delta, ascending vector, stellar orientation, the orbital sovereignty, um, has been publicly or has been subconsciously aligned with the Star Trek symbology. There is no coincidence. And this has measurable, you could say, morale and recruitment effects. Okay. So, in this meeting, Elon Musk discussed some strategic discussion points. And again, a lot of this has to do with the disclosure protocols. Okay. The disclosure, um, you could say, accords that are going to lead to the Sedona summit. So the meeting projections that were discussed between Elon Musk and Pete Hegseth reportedly addressed a permanent lunar industrial grid deployment, Mars self-sustaining biosphere development. We're not talking about 10 years anymore. We're talking about 3 years from now, which completely corresponds to what I just read regarding the Galactic report, as well as fusion propulsion research acceleration, orbital defense integration with civilian deep space transport. And so the assessment is a private sector propulsion innovation plus military orbital security doctrine, which will accelerate our civilization expansion into a space age, spacefaring society within a matter of years. Okay. And another thing that they talked about was that they did admit that overall science fiction historically always precedes technological adoption. It is a soft disclosure. Everything we see in sci fi is, in a way, preparing us for what's coming. Okay, this is what they call a cultural preparation directive. For example, submarines uh, came from Jules Verne, satellites came from Arthur C. Clarke, mobile communicators and the internet came from Star Trek. Okay. These were shows, and these are authors that were writing about this stuff 30 years ago, 40 years ago, before we had, you know, internet, before we have space satellites, submarines, advanced communication systems. They were all soft disclosures. Okay. So the conclusion was a civilization rehearses its future in story before executing it in reality. So the final assessment that took place between Elon Musk and Pete Hegseth, I keep calling him Pete Hegseth, that Space Force, there is no coincidence that the alignment between Space Force symbolism and Star Trek Enterprise imagery is reflecting a broader trajectory. Humanity is transitioning from a terrestrial species into a space-faring civilization. The delta no longer represents defense alone. It represents ascent, transmission ending, maintain operational discretion, prepare for phased expansion. All right, in addition to these transmissions, I do want to share one last thing. And this was actually a report from Peter White Eagle. I don't know if you guys ever heard of, not Peter White Eagle, Paul White Eagle. I'm sorry, Paul White Eagle. And according to Paul White Eagle, I want to share this because this apparently confirms what I just said. A high level insider claimed that Donald Trump has been in contact with the Galactic Federation of Extraterrestrials, while a source called Q claimed to have contact with Trump. Q referenced angels, self empowered spirituality, and left with the word ascension. Connecting Q's plan to Galactic Federation's ascension plan brings new meaning to the phrase, the end won't be for everyone. Full disclosure of ETs, elite Satanism, cloning would collapse society if rushed. So gradual awakening is required before the shift. Trump has met Galactic Federation forces, works with them and white hats to protect humanity and backs eventual full truth when people are ready. So, according to the Taigeta, I guess he wrote about this too. We're talking about Paul White Eagle. He says that uh, If you knew benevolent, godlike beings were observing everything about us and were about to make contact, would you behave any differently? Well, Trump has already met them face to face. He knows what's coming and he's not playing games anymore. Most people are blissfully unaware of the true darkness in this world. Many still rely on religions that sold them the dark forces disguised as God. Many still believe or still adore celebrities and world leaders who secretly sacrifice and cannibalize children. Many are still unaware of the billions of clones around us that are indistinguishable from real people, which I just talked about. And even the good news about Galactic Federation and the shift is too much for many to process. So, if full disclosure were forced through official channels before humans were free of false belief systems and the dark forces manipulating them, this world falls apart and we suffer through at least some of it. I stand for full disclosure. I don't hold anything back. I've been attacked. This is what Paul White Eagle is saying. I've been attacked for years for sharing my truth, yet Palladian disclosure is still the only information that connects the dots. Full disclosure is available if you want it. Trump isn't protecting pedophiles. He's protecting us. Okay, this is what Paul White Eagle reported, which totally confirms what I've been saying. It has to be full disclosure has to happen in phases, all right, to prevent societal shock. So apparently he confirms that. Also, Brazilian presidential hopeful Aldo Rebelo claims that he knows what inside US UFO files and says that Brazil will release its own alien and UFO records if he's elected. We're talking about Aldo Rebelo. He says the knowledge comes from this time as defense minister and hints that governments have held secrets about advanced technology for decades. So we also know that Aldo Rebelo is getting ready to disclose if he becomes president of Brazil, which I think he will, because Brazil is part of the alliance. Okay. The statement has ignited global debate as UFO disclosure talk heats up worldwide. And even David Grush, chilling revelations from last year, just got real with President Trump's new UFO executive order that he signed just within the last week. So in this must-watch interview, Grush reveals we have alien bodies and recovered UAP craft of non-human origin. He also dropped that Trump is fully briefed on UAPs and could go public fast forward to now. Trump's EO to disclassify UFO files proves Grush was spot on. So apparently, full disclosure is finally here. Anyways, I wanted to share that with you guys to validate the Galactic report and the Alliance report coming from Space Force regarding the secret meeting that took place between Elon Musk and, of course, Pete Hegseth and others in attendance, including, I would say, members of the Galactic Alliance. Again, Elon Musk 2.0 is not a dummy. I believe that Elon Musk 2.0 is working with members of the Galactic Alliance. Okay. So I've been talking for about an hour and 18 minutes. I haven't gone live in almost a week. Did you guys miss me? I hope you did. I sure did miss you guys. Well, I wanted to, again, extend gratitude to everyone that is here. Before I take Q&A, I do want to acknowledge a few of the Galactic Jedis. I see Patricia in the house, Diana 77 Unicorn, as well as Sylvia Vidal, Lee Star Wolf Mother, MJF Neo is in the house, Jedi Oz is in the house, Greg QT5JU in the house, as well as Race Your Vibe 333 is in the house. Debbie Gender is in the house. Roy's Toys Comics is in the house. And one more person. I'm going to give a shout out to somebody that I've never mentioned before. 369 John is in the house. What's up, John? Not to mention, Valentina Sunshine is in the house. Welcome, sister. And last but not least, Pickled Shoe. Pickled Shoe is in the house. There we go. That's somebody I have never called before. All right, it is about that time, guys. Please ask your questions in capital letters. Thank you, Edward Rusick, for your donation. And Susan K, thank you so much. Now, I didn't have time to reel the other intergalactic cities besides the Sedona Summit, but maybe in the next live on Saturday, I will go much deeper into the other seven cities are establishing a global, interactive, interstellar, you could say, environment for Earth humans to meet, you know, other civilizations or members from other civilizations. There are more cities to come. Okay. There are more cities to come. Now, you guys do have to excuse me. I don't have a moderator. I don't know what happened. I'm going to have to figure out how to give Starcadian the wrench as well as Wolf Mother. Let's see if I can do it now, right after I take these super chats. The first one is coming from Nathan Taylor. So, how do you tell if someone is 5D or 60? Can you sense their power level, like the scouter device from Dragon Ball Z? Yeah, their frequency. Their frequency will let you know. Well, first of all, if they're six-dimensional beings, they're going to be extremely powerful. Okay, the higher you ascend or integrate Earth with whatever dimension, 7, 8, 9, 10. If you go beyond the fifth dimensional Earth and you integrate that into the Earth, your abilities are going to be far beyond those that go into the 5D Earth. So you will know them by the level of power, right? Who ascended higher than the 5D, and also their frequency. Their frequency is going to be gigantic or enormous. But that's how you will know. Good question. Next question. Ashley Gold 444. Thank you, sister. Hi, Ishmael. Was it the real Trump on last night's union address? Is J.D. Vance a white hat or nefarious? Thank you. No, the real Trump is never on stage. He's never in front of a camera. The real Trump is working in safe facilities. Okay. I can't really mention which ones now. He used to be in Cheyenne Mountain, but he relocated. So, and as far as J.D. Vance, I think he's wolf in sheep clothing. I'm not too sure about him because the guy's really close to Peter, or what's his name, the guy who created the AI. What is it called? Palantir. Palantir. Okay, he's really close to that guy. So I don't trust him. I think he's a wolf in sheep clothing. Sunshine, thank you so much for the super chat. She says, love you guys, love the Jedis, love all around. Thank you, sister. We love you too, Sunshine. I do want to acknowledge over 3,300 Galactic Jedis that are in the house. Thank you guys so much for being here. Yes, Peter Thiel. I always get Pete Hegseth and Peter Thiel confused. That's right. Peter Thiel is, I'm sorry to say this, but Peter Thiel financed J.D. Vance. Okay, so I think that's his handler. I think J.D. Vance has a handler who is Peter Thiel. But anyways, you know, you guys are entitled to your own beliefs, but I think he's a wolf. He's a wolf in sheep clothing. I don't trust him. Great job at the Conscious Life Expo. So Angela was watching the stream. I had a little over 100 people on the stream. I'm not sure quite how many, but thank you guys for being there at the Conscious Life Expo via the stream. I want to welcome P Peace 124 for his super chat. Yum, a crystalline Sedona Summit sandwich. Count me in. All right, I will. And we know, and that explains why a lot of light workers, star seeds are moving to Sedona, okay? Because of the Sedona summit. Deborah says that's not the real JD Vance. It's only 59. This JD Vance is much taller and they're wearing a mask. All right, cool. Thank you for sharing that. Um Another super chat. Thank you so much. LCD001. Thank you, thank you. Are we going to be able to see who are the reptilians? Yes, as mentioned earlier in my report today, as the veil continues to lift, by virtue of the increasing energy and our consciousness, we're going to be able to see who's human and who's not. Absolutely. Let's see if I could give Wolf Mother um, the ability to be my moderator. All right, I added you as a moderator. Okay, Wolf Mother, I just gave you the wrench. Okay, Starcadian, you're next. Where are you at? I'm about to give you guys the wrench again. Let's see, Starcadian, where are you at? So I give you the wrench. Ishmael, what about Erica Kirk? Erica Kirk is an Israeli Mossad. I've already mentioned that she was used by the Mossad to infiltrate Turning Point USA, and she was an accomplice in the takeout of her. I'm sorry to say this, but in the takeout of Charlie. And so, yeah, she's another soulless being that is being possessed by a Draco reptilian. That's why she has those evil eyes. So I wouldn't trust Erica Kirk as far as I could throw her. So I'm about to give Starcadian the wrench. Where is Starcadian? Is he in the house? If he types something, I could give him the wrench. I just don't see him. Starcadian, are you in the house? Well, as long as Wolf Mother has the wrench, I guess we're good. All right, somebody said Starcadian left. Okay, fair enough. Why was the Earth quarantined for 10,000 years? Because of the Draco reptilian takeover of our planet through Enki and Marduk, the negative Anunnaki faction. I've already mentioned that. In fact, for all of my new subscribers, I strongly recommend to read our Cosmic Origin and the Secret Government. So much information. So many of your questions will be answered in those books. So, yeah, the reason the Earth was quarantined is because when the dark forces, the Draco, took us over through Atlantean times, when they took over the Earth, the Galactic Federation of Worlds back then isolated the Earth, quarantined the Earth from from the galaxy itself because they were winning the war against the Orion Empire. All right, back then during Atlantean times, hundreds of thousands of systems, star systems, were involved into the galactic wars, and so they didn't want the new evil that took root here and took over the affairs of our world. They didn't want that evil to expand into other systems. Unfortunately, Enki did. Enki was able to go into other systems and create loosh farms. So, anyhow, that's why the world, our planet, was quarantined for the last 10,000 years. What about med beds? When will they be available? Well, according to Sky Prince, I think that's her name, April 20th, April 2nd. But that's only according to Sky Prince. I don't really follow her much, but every now and then my levy watches her. Yes, the cabal did have the technology for the last few thousand years to extract the consciousness of humans in order to use their bodies as host to the Draco reptilians. So that could have happened to Erica. Yes, Erica Kirk. That is. Thank you so much, Dakota Mindscape, for your super chat. Will older starseeds who don't live to see the solar flash make it past the electricity frequency fence surrounding the Earth to go home? The Are you talking about the fence that was put by the negative Draco and the Zetas to keep us trapped? That fence, that frequency fence, has been dismantled, which means that the reincarnational trap that causes us to reincarnate back into human form is no longer there. So if the older star seeds pass before the ascension, before the solar flash, they're just going to transition directly into the new Earth. Okay, so yeah, you'll be fine. When is this summit supposed to happen? Well, according to the briefings, sometime in summer or fall of 2027. Sedona will be the first summit, and by 2028, other cities are going to also be summits. I will be revealing the other cities as well. I'll just give you guys a little spoiler alert. Mount Shasta is one of them. Actually, Mount Shasta is going to be the second um, interstellar hub where again humans and Telosians, right, inner Earth's members are going to come into open contact and be part of an interstellar. Um, you could say, what's the word I'm looking for? Jubilee, interstellar jubilee. Once again, guys, my new courses are up. In 3 weeks, I'm going to start a whole new series of classes. If you missed this weekend, which starts in 3 days, Saturday and Sunday, I'm going to be teaching classes this weekend. And those classes go for 2 consecutive weekends. But 3 weekends from now, a whole new set of classes are available if you guys go to my website or cosmicorigin.com. So that way you guys could secure your spot. Now, I've been broadcasting for over an hour and 32 minutes. I will take one more question, guys, and then I will see you guys on Saturday for another galactic report. Do you think we will be able to teleport to those places soon? Well, that's only if you're part of the first wave of ascenders. Remember, the first wave of ascenders, I still believe it's going to take place this year. Okay. If you are part of the first waivers of ascenders and you have teleportation capabilities, then yeah, you'll be able to teleport anywhere you want on the planet. All right. Well, may the God force be with you all. I will see you guys Saturday for another update. Bye, guys.